Welcome to Sad Boys, a podcast about feelings and other things also. I'm Jarvis.
I'm Jordan.
And today we're joined by a very special guest.
Thank you.
He's a voice actor. He's a YouTuber, a streamer, a podcaster, a dog. CDawgVA, welcome, Connor.
Yes, yeah, you can just call me Connor. CDawgVA is an unfortunate choice for name, but
hey,
how long you been rocking that? How long you regretted it?
So I had a different name before. It was the only CMC. Yeah, okay, I know not many woes. That was my initials. CMC are my initials. I don't know why. It was my Xbox gamer tag.
Yeah, of course.
And then I was like, well, let's use this for everything.
Right.
Like, why? This is a sick name.
Yeah.
And then obviously I regretted that because I found out that if you just searched my name at the time, I thought all my COD or whatever stats would come up.
Right.
But my voice acting stuff came up. And this was in high school. Or secondary school. Sorry, I'm too fucking Americanized.
Right. Yeah.
I feel offended when I'm around another British person and I use the American word. I'm like, I fucked up.
No. I think you're
Cali pilled, bro.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
True. So
We share a sea.
Yeah. So then I was like, I gotta change this. And in my head, as a 16-year-old, I thought, what sounds cool? Cool. What is the pinnacle of cool? A white 16-year-old British kid with the name Seadog.
The best time to set a brand.
Yeah,
is when the target audience of like gaming PC parts called like the Dragon Sniper. The Death Brigade C3090.
It used to be like the only CMC with the lowercase, big case X on each side, which is even just. I got that.
Oh
out.
no, I mean we've both got flavors of that. My first internet handle, which is still out there, was Magic Jarvis, which was
I don't think that's bad.
I think it works, but it's like I was playing RuneScape.
Okay.
The MMO.
Me too.
And it was the first MMO I'd ever played. I didn't know that I thought of it as like a small little chat room where there might be strangers there. So my friends from middle school would need to know that I was the Jarvis that they play Magic the Gathering with and not to be confused with some other Magic or some other Jarvis.
Tell me something only Magic Jarvis would know.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how it came. And
Which is your favorite planeswalker?
It worked. I mean, I didn't hate it, but then when I kind of went into my hibernation of being an adult, I had the great fortune of starting YouTube again later in life, and I was able to like
wish I had that.
just go by my name.
Brother, there's still time. You want
I can reset now.
Yeah, I know. Ethan just did it.
Yeah.
Ethan just got rid of Crank.
Yeah, Ethan just rebranded. Rebranding is like, I don't know. Well, also, my second name is not easy. It's long and Scottish and doesn't pronunciate the way that it's spelt.
It's McConnor.
It's Cahoon, but it's spelled COLQU, and you don't say the L, the Q, or the U. Obviously.
Oh,
so it's just like doesn't make sense. And also, I don't know. CDawg's kind of stuck, and it's easy.
Yeah,
it's easy. CDawg. It's not. I wouldn't say the name is indicative of what I look like. Like if you think of CDawg, I don't think anyone would think, oh, that's
right. In a vacuum, I get it. I totally know what you mean, but at this point,
it's great. It's fine. I like it. The VA I might drop at some point because I just haven't done enough to warrant keeping it around.
You mentioned voice acting stuff coming up with the CMC name. So how long have you been doing voice acting stuff for?
I started when I kind of got into it because I was always doing voices on COD. I was always that annoying little kid. I'd always just like mess around with these weird voices. And I thought it was
accents.
And I was like, I should be an actor. I'm just so good at this.
I should do stand-up.
I'm crushing it. These kids love this.
How old was
I was like,
or what? How old are you?
I think it was before sixth form. So I was, this was the year before. So it was year 11. So it was like, what is it? 16, 15? I think 16.
Yeah.
So 15 I was. Because I'm July, so I guess at the end of the school year I'd be 16, right?
You turn 18 in 6 months.
Yeah, so I think I started when I was 15. It was also coincidentally when I got into anime. Anime was a huge thing that pushed me into getting into voice acting.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
It's like a fantasy thing because you just I think that's why a lot of voice actors that are, the generation that came up with me and are now the voice actors that are working today, a lot of them came from being fans of anime. Voicing on Newgrounds, like ProZD and other people, and like Kira Buckland, who's
ProZD a legend. Yeah,
and Newgrounds was like a sick place for. The only stuff I ever did as a kid was dubbing Smash characters for fan animations. And it's because the forums were like effectively just money-free
yeah.
booking
It's like,
agencies.
I want free labor, but I want the worst labor. It's like nobody was good at anything they did, but it was like a great kind of space to allow people who are very just passionate but were talentless at the time.
Right,
they didn't
right,
have
right.
anything.
Why
It was a
is me
proving
Captain Falcon?
Yeah. Oh, what's going on? The crunchiest mic.
Right.
It's just the like it was a great time. I think when the internet was still kind of like kind of, I don't know. It was like a very great time creatively because it was still very small. People who sought out to do those types of stuff were genuinely extremely passionate about it because it was like you could just go and play fucking a mini clip for like 8 hours. So
Right.
what kind of kid would go on a forum looking for voice acting or making a game rather than just play video like little flash games? Like
Right.
you would have to be so passionate about the idea of this thing to do this.
Or you'd be on Interactive Buddy. You know,
Yeah,
treating
that's-
yourself
too.
to expressing basically the internet version of tearing the wings off a moth. Just basically practice being a psychopath.
Wait, what is that?
Interactive Buddy. It was like
my God.
it was a physics-based little like
You get points for
action
doing
script game.
damage to this like test dummy.
And you just pick it,
okay.
you just swing it against the wall.
You slam it, you like drop a bomb, you
Right.
shoot it.
That's
God,
like, I guess the thing that comes to mind for that for me is Roller Coaster Tycoon.
oh, that was great.
Like
great
creating a
motivation.
scenario where
parents wouldn't let me buy that, though.
someone's gonna,
I don't
drown.
know why. They just wouldn't.
There's no
It's
exit to
nothing
the
do with game.
park. Everyone's running around.
The
throwing
seeing you
up.
play it and just pick them up, put them in the water.
No.
And they're just like, what?
I think
Why
it's more
can't
the-
I play this?
I think it's more the money aspect. At that time, I didn't know how to pirate. So
Oh, wow, yeah. Real quick, I just wanted to say we just released a Jarvis Johnson Gold inspired Your Premium collection over on jarvis.store. It's a merch drop. We've got a new merch partner. We've been working on it for a very long time, and I'm finally excited for you to see it. We've got sweatshirts, sweatpants. We got shirts, long sleeve shirts, rugby shirts, lots of cool stuff to check out. I can't wait to see people posting photos in it. So head on over to jarvis.store to check that out.
But in the UK, like when so the UK is very like a very prominent kind of, I don't know how to say this, like you get bullied like immediately, like not in the way that you would in like was my understanding of like American bullying.
Right.
It's very different from British bullying. I think British bullying is like if you are not 100% normal, that you're immediately going to be like ostracized.
We built an empire with it.
We did do that. Yeah, I suppose we did. So the thought of like I remember I got shit for playing video games all the time.
Oh, wow.
But I grew up in North Wales. Not much going on there. Kind of countryside. Football was everything. I'm sure this is the same in where you grew up. And so if you didn't like football, you were immediately like not qualified for the cool kids group.
Right.
So it doesn't matter how well you got on with everyone, you would never ever get in that like upper echelon. Bear in mind, I say upper echelon, but like they're now all not having the best time.
Right, right. It's like the whole peaked in high school thing.
Yeah, like literally that kind of character. So the thought of telling people I liked anime, and then I was voice acting when I was never even in the acting kind of thing was always like absolutely not, no fucking way.
No,
so yeah,
I totally know what you mean, like generationally, because I remember the day that you needed like a fancy cable box to get any sort of anime, and I remember coming home, and as a gift my mom had gotten, and you would pay for the channel packages that you would get, and so my mom bought one channel for me, and it was Cartoon Network.
I mean that's the best one.
Yeah, and it was like Goku on Snake Way, and I was immediately hooked. I was like, this will be my personality now. And I would write little, essentially fanfics. Like,
yeah, but that's like,
and we would like LARP in the streets, basically, like without any of those words. But yeah, we would.
It was just
pretend.
so like Dragon Ball, especially, is just so. It's such a great entryway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
When
like
you're
a
a
very
kid as
funny
well.
franchise, and it's just immediate wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
It's like,
100%.
wow, he liked me for real, and he's jacked, and everyone likes him. And he eats sick.
Yeah,
And I think now of like the voice. I like know all of the voice actors of the Funimation dub of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And like I was at like a screening for the One Piece movie Red.
Nice.
And Sonny Strait was there, who I knew as like Krillin in Dragon Ball Z, and so I didn't like say that to him, but I was like, Sonny, big fan of your work. And then I was just like, oh, that was so cool.
Sonny Krillin.
Sorry. No, but I used to get like, I have like my 10 10 years of Shonen Jump that I got. The North American Shonen Jump was like released in 2003, and I used to get it. It was monthly here versus like weekly in Japan. And
we have talked about it on the show before, but we should 30 seconds summarize
what Shonen Jump?
Your One Piece experience.
Oh, that's funny. Here, I'll give a visual gag because now I actually have a reference.
Okay.
Because Connor's the perfect guest.
Yeah, this is great.
Oh wow, you got an OG. I didn't know they actually published Shonen Jump in America. I don't think we had it in the UK.
I couldn't get it in the UK.
I
had like a little trade one time.
So this is like January 2003.
Wow.
They published it, I think, until like 2014-ish. I went to college in 2010, so I basically had it until I went to college. So I have like a good. But this is the first issue, and it's 2003, so like I'm familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm familiar with Dragon Ball Z. Yu Yu Hakusho is like around-ish. You know, Sandland, like this like a Akira Toriyama written thing not a lot of people know about. And then like One Piece did not have an anime on TV.
Oh.
So because it would later come out, like it would come out a few years later on 4Kids, and yeah, it definitely did, and it's got a famously bad dub and a great theme song.
They changed it.
Yeah,
the show.
Did. Yeah,
it wasn't just a bad dub.
They changed it. They like changed the race of some characters. Yeah, it was weird. But anyway, if you look here, and we can show this we'll show a visual aid. I used to pretend that I knew things that I didn't know.
Okay.
I don't know if when you're a kid,
like
someone asks you to know about something, you're like, oh, I'm an expert.
Yeah. Oh, especially when you don't know anything about conventional stuff, like in our case, I guess football.
Yeah, and no one knew about One Piece, so I could be cool, right? They're like, oh, I've never heard of this. And I said, oh, Nepic? I'm a huge fan of Nepic. Because those are the only normal letters in the One Piece like word mark. Because the O has the skull and crossbones, and the I is Luffy's silhouette, and so I just ignored those things.
You're like graphic design. I don't see it.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm blind to those things. I can only see the real letters, and it's Nepic to me. And I said that with my full chest, and those kids believe me because they didn't have Shonen Jump.
This is like.
One Piece anime came out while I was in school.
Yeah, it was. I don't actually know.
I remember because they had the rap, and I have this whole
goggle.
They made me rap it because I said I knew it, and then they were like, "Do it," and I didn't realize they just wanted to laugh at me.
What, Nepic?
Yeah, Nepic. I was like, "Do you know Nepic?"
That's so funny when you have authority, or like you feel like you have authority on something, and you're a kid, and all of a sudden. When people want to make fun of you and encourage you to do it,
it's so bad.
The adrenaline kicks in. You're like, people care about the thing. You hate me also as well.
Yeah, embarrassing.
You're just making fun of me for liking something now instead of not liking something before.
Yeah, The One Piece dub came out the next year.
Oh, okay.
But you were saying that when you were growing up, North Wales, the
like
doll, anime as an outlet. Voice acting, etc.
Yeah, so I mean, I was like, fuck, I don't want to tell anyone about this because I can't even tell people I play video games.
Right.
Which is weird to me because everyone's playing FIFA and COD anyway.
Right. But those aren't games. Those are cool
for some reason, if I played
activities.
Halo, that was kind of weird. That's how weird it was in the UK.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you had this in your school, but at least my school, it was like, again, it's very, I feel like Wales is like at least a few years behind the rest of the UK.
But Halo, I remember it was PC first.
Yeah,
right?
it was.
Yeah, Combat Evolve was not cool. But.
Yeah.
Well, I played like Halo 3 and Reach mainly. Those are the ones I played with. They didn't play that. It was always COD and FIFA.
You didn't play Halo?
I didn't play Halo 2.
Halo 3 was the gateway into like Xbox Live for me.
Yeah, that's how I got into everything. Yeah.
My friends, even the
Playing
cool
Griffball.
friends were like, yeah, dude, let's fucking play some mods, bro. Let's say the N-word. This is the place.
Oh, God.
What does that mean? Uh-oh.
Halo was fun, though. That aside.
But that was why.
That was the best part, actually. Actually, I love that.
The way I got into voice acting, I was doing Red versus Blue fanfic where they are saying the N-word.
I never cared about Red versus Blue. Luckily.
Yeah, I somehow missed that too. Like it was that was the big machinima thing,
I think
right?
when I saw it, because obviously I was really into YouTube as well growing up. I did see that and I just thought it was weird. I was like, this is not funny.
It's funny because it's just another vector of the Newgrounds thing we're describing, right? It's
just
it is.
Different... It's totally the same, but I guess, I
mean, for me, that was Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged.
Wow, yeah, that was...
And I was like, whoa, you can like do your own parody voices.
I mean, Team 4-Star were. I mean, at one point they were huge online.
Well, and then Team 4-Star. So Little Kuribo did Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge, but then but that was when I really got in. Was Team 4-Star with Dragon Ball Abridged, because they were pretty early to the game too.
I voiced in I think one of the episodes. And Helsing, I voiced in one of them.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Were you? Did you voice one?
I was like a rapist in the Helsing.
Oh no,
which is not great on the credits.
That's cool. Did you requested that?
You were like, you can take me out of the credits.
Yeah,
for this one.
I was like, I'm good. Luckily, it was on a bridge. But
Let's call me. Just go by CDawg. Yeah, I don't want my name.
Yeah, let's go with the only CMC.
Yeah, I was like, maybe not this name. Yeah, that was huge though. I mean, they had like crazy amount of subs before subs had really gotten to like the super inflated, like everyone has 1 million plus.
Right.
They were, I mean, my God, Dragon Ball Bridge was crazy.
Yeah, if you look back at some of those, because they did the movies, they did the show, but like some of those movies have tens of millions of old school YouTube views, and it's crazy to look back.
Some of the voice actors did not like the official voice actors did not like the
which I get, but there's
a lot of in jokes in the community, right? So
there's a lot of in jokes in the community, and then there's also a lot of they paid a lot of homage to the Japanese version of the show and some of the liberties that the dub took, and would make fun of that. And I thought that was cool because I was also just like a little Dragon Ball nerd at the time.
If you're into it, it's like you know, there's multiple layers of enjoyment. But I think they didn't appreciate that very much. I think.
What are you chewing on right now? What are you reading? What are you watching?
What am I watching? I'm still reading One Piece. It's taken a millennia to get through.
Right here. Have a go.
Sorry, Nepic.
There you go.
Through.
Oh, you don't know Nepic?
Yeah, sorry. It's a little underground. Wow. I'm like 60 volumes in, which is crazy because most manga are like 10 volumes. Just watching all the stuff that's seasonal that's doing well. Hell's Paradise, Demon Slayer, but so boring. What else is there that's right now that's popping off?
I'm out of the game with the currently airing stuff.
I just gone. Giga, he's the anime guy for like, we have the anime man Joey who doesn't do anime anymore. But Gaunt has been like the anime YouTuber for like like 15 years.
I definitely like saw some of his early stuff back in the
he's back in the day. It's crazy how he's the guy. And great friend of mine. And I'm like, Gaunt, what should I watch this season?
Right.
He just tells me, you won't like this, you'll like this, you'll like this, you'll like this.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I get
That's nice.
It's great to have him be like, custom selected. Oshinoko as well is out right now. It's kind of, I don't really like that much. That's kind of it what I'm watching right now.
It's crazy how we've gotten to a point where you can watch like simulcast
dubs
and then like or just getting the sub the same day or the day after. Like, because I remember when I was in high school, it was all extremely illegal, but you would be waiting for the fan subbing groups or to like upload to sub episodes of stuff. Like I remember like Bakano and stuff, like when that was like coming out.
Fuck, Bakano's a banger.
Yeah.
Actually, my YouTube avatar, the one with the suit, that's based off Bakano. Because I really liked the lad Russo from Bakano.
Yeah.
So I love that suit that he wore. And I was like, I want someone to draw this stupid anime version of me.
Right. Yeah, that's funny.
Love Bakano.
That's always a source of like creativity more often than not. I feel like in the early internet era is
you just take.
you just steal. You take, and the publishers or like the utility for getting these things we care about was just fucking impossible.
Yeah,
like really same shit happens now with any kind of first party Nintendo mod. They have to be really inventive because Nintendo's super litigious. They never put shit on sale. Getting your hands on half the Zelda series.
Oh my god!
Tell me about it. Literally, I just bought a Wii U because I wanted to play Wind Waker HD, and they'd never put it out on Switch, which is such a no-brainer.
And they get all fucking...
It came out 10 years ago.
All judicious about playing Melee in competitive settings, and we're like, if you release that, unremastered, just a functional emulator for $200, everyone in the community would pay for it. They are the source of this.
The Melee community is like, hey, we fixed some bugs in Melee, and they're like, we will kill you.
it's I don't know. I think that's like the super, like, in a weird way, from like being in Japan super long and working with a lot of Japanese brands and a lot of Japanese companies. There's just the way they do things and the way they just see everything is so different.
Yeah,
they just like, it's very famously like some Japanese game devs like the companies, they would just straight up delete the source code after the game came out. They were like, we need the space. And they just never thought about preserving it. They were
like old films.
They were just like
oh, we need to reuse the tape.
Like BBC, right? With Doctor Who.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Where they like find lost episodes in like, it just so happened to be in a warehouse in Kenya. Like a news station happened to have it. Yeah, because they just, luckily it was somewhere else that didn't throw it away.
They find shit in salt mines all the fucking time. Because they're moisture free. So people just store old film stock, and then they're like, "Well, we got like a bunch of videos of somebody like shitting, and then there's one here. Oh, it's the original Star Wars print, just sat in a corner covered in mud. Okay.
Oh, who needs that crap?
Yeah, George Lucas frisbeeing it into the corner.
How was that? So when did you move to Japan?
I moved in 2019, about 6 months before the pandemic.
Okay.
Wow. Is that why?
Yeah, I actually was like, I'm getting ahead of the game.
Plan was complete.
And that was weird because it was like I'd been to Japan only twice before.
Oh wow,
like 2 vacations, and I was like, this is sick.
Yeah, it's cool.
Because I was always a huge, I've said this a lot. Like I feel like a lot of people don't realize how much especially when you're a kid, you don't realize how much, especially when we grew up as well, because they didn't tell us it was from Japan. A lot of the time, the stuff was just dubbed in English, and there's no real like way of knowing it was from Japan unless, especially when you didn't have the internet widely, like you couldn't just go on your PC and start searching about it.
Yeah.
You just didn't know.
Yeah, you had to be reading the interviews.
There was a vibe. Yeah.
I only knew because of like Shonen Jump and the other magazines that I would buy.
I found out because I wanted to watch Pokemon online, and I found the episode. I was like, "Whoa, there's more. There's this new series out. I haven't seen this on TV." And they start speaking Japanese, like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I was like, found out, oh shit, it's in Japanese first?
Why does Meow sound so fucked up?
What the fuck? Why do you sound like he smokes 50?
That was...
when did he become cool?
I used to, and you know what's funny is somewhere I still have this binder. I used to go on my aunt's computer who had like I had dial-up at home, so this wasn't really a possibility, but my aunt had like slightly faster internet growing up. And when I would go visit her place, I would go to Dragon Ball fan sites and print out images, and I would sleeve the images and I would put them in a binder, and I would just look at them, and I would just look at them. But then I would end up with like promotional like images from the movie posters,
like an archive,
or from GT and stuff that hadn't aired in America. And it kept being like this weird, like, oh, what is it? Something, it's the future over there in Japan.
It's like Dark Souls lore.
Yeah.
It's just like, you read an item description and you can't really understand half the words.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you see a picture of Broly and you're like, who is that?
Yeah, and it's like you kind of consume a lot of this media. Even like, again, you play video games, right? You're playing these Japanese games. You're like, there's just something different about these type of games that I'm playing that feel so vastly different to this other media I'm consuming, and I'm like, man, I just really have this weird affinity with this. And then I would learn, you'd watch movies, Fast and Furious Tokyo fucking Drift.
Oh yeah.
Which unironically, I think did kind of get me into Japan a little bit more, because I just thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
Except
I remember seeing it and being like, I thought it was like cartoons and shit. wait, what the heck? There's like cool, there's like there's neon here as well.
Like, what so sick. It looks so awesome, and you know,
that movie is so funny. By the way, they send the most southern hick guy ever.
He's so
give him the worst haircut in history.
Oh,
he's
so
like,
bad.
Damn, you guys got cars around these first as well.
Donkey Kong.
It's insane that it gets through the whole movie without him saying a slur. If that was real, there's no world. And they put him in that fucking delinquent style high school costume. He's got like the open front.
Why are you selling this iPod that's broken? It's like, what the fuck is this false scene?
What in the hell's with this beep, 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 beep?
It's so bad. It's such a bad film, but it really like kind of weirdly got me into it. And
it was certainly a cool film.
Yeah. I mean,
Your hand just explodes. It's like a movie about driving cars.
So fucking
that movie's
shit.
So funny.
And I just weirdly had this, always kind of like really enjoyed it. But, you know, I saw this tweet and oh my God, you got to, it made me laugh. It was like, Japan is Wakanda for white people.
Whoa.
Do you think there is some truth to that? I think, because it's always white dudes, which I admit, I feel like I'm part of the problem. It's white dudes. We do absolutely idolize Japan.
Well, no, the thing is, like, I grew up in like a predominantly black community of like fucking weebs. Like everybody was a big fan. But I think that's a weird, like, I don't know if it's super obvious. Like, there is a stereotype. The black nerd is like very into anime. True. But I know what you mean, because there is that.
There's a very bad rap around.
There's a bad rap about the white guy who like is like, excuse me, miss, I took 3 years of Japanese.
It's like when I first took a picture, someone took a picture of me wearing a kimono, and I was like, this looks like every dude that I would not want to interact with on Facebook. Because they're wearing like the kimono and it's kind of grainy.
Not deodorant.
There's like an old, I don't know if Mayuka talked about this on the podcast, but one of our old coworkers at Patreon, our friend Mayuko, she is Japanese American, like she's Japanese nationality wise. She like is Japanese, but she grew up in America. Her parents though moved back. They're like teachers at university there. And she was talking about how like there are so many random white dudes who will like try to speak Japanese to her. And like or like if she was like working a job and they'd be like, "Oh, you're Japanese? Arigato gozaimasu."
That's so bad.
Yeah, it's very bad. But it's always a white dude in that stereotype.
I absolutely believe that entirely. I mean, there is a lot of. I will say it's very fair to say that there are a lot of dudes there who I think just kind of wanted to have a reset, and it's normally. Not to be mean, it is normally white dudes.
Yeah.
There's a perception or like a fetishization of the.
Oh, there absolutely
Japan,
is
right?
as well.
For this is being very generalizing, but I've just heard the sentiment a lot of submissive women in Japan, like a lot of the alpha men going their own way bullshit. It's like you move to Japan because then the women there are traditional, which is they're wrong.
Yeah,
like,
we're gonna go to Golden Guy and we're gonna get drunk and it's gonna be like Lost in Translation.
They love us.
Oh God. Oh Jesus.
How much of the time in Japan are you speaking Japanese versus English?
Oh, dude,
with the exception of
like
the show.
Yeah, so I mean, my Japanese is at a level which should be better, as my YouTube comments always love to tell me. Because most of the time I'm speaking English, because most people I work with speak English, and most of the people I'm around all speak English, which I know is like, God, you should integrate more and yada yada yada. But my Japanese is at like conversational level. I can go around, I can do everything I need to do every single day. I can talk to everyone. I sound like a little toddler, but I can communicate everything, and I'm happy with, considering I moved there knowing literally nothing.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wait, how did that?
Not that long ago.
Did you? Yeah, I was gonna say not that long ago. Were you taking classes or were
no, not at all.
You're just picking it up.
Man, there's this weird like assumption, and I don't want to blame Americans, but I think some Americans online have this idea that if you move to a foreign country, you just pick it up.
Yeah.
And it's so wrong.
Not as an adult.
Not with an adult. No, absolutely not.
Brain.
It's so tough because I got there and I was doing classes for about up until about a year ago. I was only going once a week, 2 hours, which is not a lot, I know, but it was pretty much all I could fit into my schedule, because doing the podcast, doing the streamings, doing the YouTubing.
Yeah.
And the pandemic maybe was not a great time.
Pandemic was rough because then all the classes closed and they wanted me to do Zoom, and I hated Zoom classes. I think dude, it's bad because I hate agreeing with like weird people online.
I know, yeah.
But I was like, just for me, just this Zoom thing, it does not work. I have 3 monitors. It's way too easy for me to start clicking stuff. And I just was not good at it. I was terrible.
I was in an acting class
that sounds terrible when it's such a physical thing.
Right. Acting. No, the first couple of like meetings were in person, and then they were like, the pandemic was happening, and then there was a lot of radio silence. It was like, okay, we're gonna try to do this through Zoom, and in my mind, I was like, I work on screens all day. I did this to get outside of my house to like do something in the real world. So I'm not really interested in doing this like remotely. And that's okay. You know what I mean?
I think it's okay to just, you can agree with what crazy people say sometimes, like one very minute point that they're crazy.
Just like little, in this particular instant. Yeah.
So but like the main way I picked it up, and the way that I always tell everyone, I'm like, you got to do this no matter even if you're learning and you're going to classes. Because I know a lot of people who they have their degree in Japanese and stuff. I did not do that. Because I thought that learning Japanese, because again, I was in the anime community, so I thought the people who were learning Japanese were super cringe for a while, because the way they would express it was kind of cringe. But I really regret and I'm jealous of the people that push themselves to learn Japanese whilst, because I think that me thinking that was cringe was from a place of like jealousy that I was not,
or even like I become them. Like I'm not cringe. I like Japan for like the cool reasons.
That as well. Like there was that kind
I'm
of
not
like
a loser,
weird,
as you see your replica katana.
I think because I was trying to escape that in school, and I didn't want to feel that way, and I felt like I don't know why, and ultimately, I think it was stupid of me because those people were like, "Fuck it, I'm going to try and learn something. I'm going to try and apply myself to something," and that's like the most valuable thing you can give to yourself.
Yeah.
Does it resonate with you at all? Like when I hear that, I kind of tie it in a little bit with the UK,
absolutely,
Welsh,
dude,
bury your interest.
Oh my god, yes,
mitigate your like 100%. Passion, and also I don't know if it's always envy. I just always felt the sentiment in the UK of like
there's definitely jealousy. I think
if you
of like people who have that freedom.
If
to
somebody
express that.
wants to do something or aspires to something, it's like, well, if they're doing it, why aren't I? No, they are the problem.
Yeah, they're the problem for pushing themselves.
Don't move to another. Do you ever get that thing about?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Wow, that's you're being really American or something. Like prom. They're doing prom now in the UK. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'll chip into that in just one sec. I'll just finish the thought that I had. Definitely, when you're trying to learn Japanese or any language, honestly, I just went out and got drunk and like going having beers because like. Even like Golden Guy, which is a super tourist spot, but like, and they hate tourists. But like occasionally,
there's so many signs that are just like Japanese residents only, or like Japanese people only.
Just the moment you start knowing just a little bit and you start applying it, they really appreciate it. People appreciate that you're putting in the effort to speak the language in a place. Like people are very kind about that. That no one expects you to be fluent. When you look foreign, they expect you to speak nothing. So they're very happy when you speak anything.
Yeah,
and a lot of dudes who drink are super fun to hang out with, and they'll want to learn English a little bit, and you speak Japanese a little bit. You kind of trade, and
you don't have as much of the shame because you're like taking the edge off a little bit.
You're drinking, and
drinking culture is like a little bit more like socially integrated, right? It's not.
Yeah.
Drinking on a weekday is like hang out with the fucking
drink
boys.
Every day in Japan, basically for most people. So that was really easy to then. Like a lot of the Japanese I did know was just like that kind of muscle memory language, not so much like
grammatically. You're not thinking about the conjugation or how to like change the form of a verb.
I would hear the thing and I would know what to say back. Yeah, and I would just kind of get these things locked in.
It's like a baby.
Yeah, exactly. So I would just know how to talk, and then suddenly they would say something, and I'd be like, whoa. I was like, could you say that in an easier way, please? That's what I
say that in normal, please.
I'd literally be, can you say it as if I was a child? And they'll say it, and I'll be like, oh, yeah. So that's always some awkward.
Say that as though I was a drunk baby.
Yeah, literally. No. Like, you check into some fancy ryokans, like onsens, and they always start speaking Keigo to me, and I'm like, could you say that easy, please? I say that in Japanese, and they're like, oh, and they don't want to because they want to be professional.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
Goo Goo Gaga version. Because
that's like a whole nother dial. Anyway, point being, that helped me so much more, and that made me again more confident. And that's a huge thing with learning language is just being confident and just don't be embarrassed because people do not expect you to be fluent, and they can immediately tell you're not fluent. So just talk, say what you know. Yeah, they appreciate that. You can find a middle ground.
But they generally
patient. They're very patient. Yeah, too patient. I think. I think it comes from a politeness, and I don't think sometimes I don't think they like it. But most people, again, if you're drinking, they're very happy with it. Just buy everyone a drink. Right. Life hack right away. They'll love you.
Yeah.
Get a bunch of tattoos. They love that, right? Get a bunch of tattoos. Go to a temple covered in tattoos. I'm sure they'll enjoy me doing that.
Go in the bath.
Yeah, go in the
with
bath.
With shorts on. And be really loud.
My replica Devil May Cry katana that I just put by the side. Take off my Virgil.
Bath, unsheath it. Like, nobody comes in.
Sorry, guys. I'm here to defend you.
Oh, God.
In case Virgil turns up.
Yeah, definitely with the British. We have this, and I'm so envious of Americans for this. This is the one thing that I always, I think I really liked when I was watching like Disney and shit, is that they were like, everyone just follow your dreams and do what you want.
Right.
And it's obviously it's a little played up. Sure. And it's too much of it.
Definitely.
But being from the UK, kind of seeing that, and this is why I really gelled with the Disney Channel as a kid in a weird kind of way. I was like, whoa, it's so refreshing to see this kind of atmosphere where everyone is kind of encouraging each other to do what they want. Whereas it's like, go to the pub with Gary, the fucking geezer, go and watch the game. And it's like, that's it. That's all you get to do. That is your life. You don't get to have any fun activity. Even if I was like, hey, I'm going to start woodworking, they just make fun of me.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what you fucking do? Don't pretend like you do fucking woodworking.
Fucking Woody Connor over here.
Yeah, it's like you just get grilled, and it's like, okay. After a while, I learned to be like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'll do what I want because it makes me happy.
I don't like Gary.
I don't want to hang out with Gary.
I just don't like him.
I'm realizing I don't mind if he doesn't invite me to see.
I would just learn to just be like, yeah, whatever.
Did you kind of at any point just try desperately to get into football or something?
I tried so long.
I guess maybe
my dad,
rugby?
My dad. So my dad's from Liverpool.
Right.
So football,
my God,
huge football culture. My dad is very ride or die football.
The Vatican of football.
Basically, in the UK, it's everything in Liverpool. So they've tried so desperately. They had season passes for Everton, and they would always take me. And dude, my dad hates it when I talk about this on the podcast. He's always like, you're dramatizing it too much. But like, he would just take me to the pub, right? And pubs in the UK, especially in the 90s, early 2000s, sorry, were not nice things. They've cleaned up a lot. It was smoking was still legal inside, and like even when it wasn't legal, people were still like still doing it, and so everyone would be like proper rough Liverpool people. They're like, oh, don't you want some pork scratchings? What you doing? And then they would like give me a sip of beer, and they're like, oh, it's a chocolate bar, have fun. And I wouldn't be allowed to bring my Game Boy or anything, and I have to watch it. And I'm like, 90 minutes is an eternal length when you're a child.
Yeah, you've only lived a few of those.
It's so long.
This is 1% of my whole life.
And I make it sound so bad, but I was, I'm very glad that I'm very thankful that my parents would take me out and do things, and I appreciate that.
For sure.
There's no point there's no part of my life when I was a kid where I thought I would like football, but they tried so desperately to get me into it as a family. And I was definitely the weird one who did not like it because my older brother loved it. And he's great. He was like the perfect son as well. He's great. I love him so much.
Not a weeb.
Not a weeb. Loved football.
Wow.
Great.
He fits right in.
Yeah, he was like the perfect British kid. He's great. I get on with him so well though now.
That's great.
I'm really glad that
Gaza. What's your brother's name?
Callum.
Oh, fuck yeah.
He's great. I'm Callum and then Connor and then with Owen as well as your favorite.
I was going to say the lesson of like, this is kind of jumping back to the language thing, like forcing yourself through it and not being afraid to fail. It's like such a good lesson for life as well.
For sure.
Because there's so much like, you get so in your head about things and really you learn so much more by just like trying and failing that you like that every success, there's like a ton of failure.
It was one of the most empowering feelings, learning another language. Because I pretty much sworn off learning another language. Because I was forced to, not forced, that sounds so bad. I'm fluent in Welsh and English. And I went to a school where it was Welsh predominantly. If you didn't speak Welsh in school, you would get like detention or whatever.
All the road signs are Welsh.
Everything's Welsh. Every subject was in Welsh. So I did all of my schooling in Welsh until I went to university.
Oh wow!
So so it was all very intense Welsh, and it sucked because like I think if in a normal school you would have like an English clash. Apparently I need to go back. And then you would do like
an English class. Going down English class.
I was fucking awful. This is bad. I was so bad. I hated reading as a kid.
Oh yeah.
And they put me in the special ed class for English. And I was like, I don't belong here. I just didn't read enough. And I was like, I was a fucking traumatic event, and I was like, "Can I get out of this now? I will read to get out of this."
I will read. I'll do it. I'll prove I can do it.
I just don't. I don't want to be snapping pencils for an hour. Like I just don't vibe with this.
Would you accept kanji?
And so I don't know. And then we're learning English, which I was terrible at, and Welsh, which I was terrible at, and then they make you learn like they don't make you learn it. You just do like German or French, and they're like say or something. You're like, this is fucking stupid. Like I feel like this is just. It's such a really. I mean, it's hard. I don't think there is a good way of introducing language to like 12 or 13-year-old kids in a way with 1 hour a week that they can really engage with it. Yeah. But I guess it's better than nothing. Just to get kids to be like, hey, there are other languages. Like you should take note of them. But
I think the utility isn't really emphasized. I remember learning French and not realizing that French is what they spoke in France. It was just French is what we learn in the class. You can
still get by with English, which is the bad part, and we're spoiled with English.
We're spoiled with English, for
and then
sure.
Going to Japan, and then when you start, like, when the dots start connecting of language learning, where you start, when you reply, like, to 3 sentences in a row, you're like, this is so empowering.
Yeah.
And it feels like a video game where you're, like, unlocking another, like, because it's crazy watching. I'm sure you have a friend who's like fluent in a language that you're like, that's so bizarre that you're fluent in this. Sure. And you watch them use it, you're like, that's so cool. Because they just like this entire skill set, which is so different from any other skill we have as like humans, is like so cool to watch people use.
I agree.
I know a lot of bilingual, like second generation friends of mine that dream in, like my friend Sarah dreams in Cantonese. She doesn't dream. And she's always lived in the UK.
That's crazy.
As a first language, till she was 5. It's not that long. There's just something foundational.
That's so cool.
Are there things you literally just can't express in English? Not just in Japan, but there's like sentiments and
there's some Welsh kind of ideas that are very tough to get across. And I guess it made me, again, when I was learning Japanese, it's the same kind of concept with like there's only certain things that can be expressed in the language, and culturally it makes sense when you take the language into account, because I guess culture is language. But it's very odd, because I think growing up, I just had such a narrow-minded view of culture and language, and I think I'm very grateful that I was able to, like, kind of YouTube has helped a lot as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, fuck me, you have to, you have to learn quick, and it's like
you get some really constructive feedback, which is nice.
Yeah,
comments.
Hey
Connor, I just want to let you know you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, because you just don't know. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to learn this stuff when I come from my school was 80 people, and I remember when I left my high school was the first time I think a non-white person joined the entire high school.
Wow,
it was super. We're in Wales, like deep, like very kind of almost homogenous, but it's not really now anymore. Yeah, but like it's super. Now it's great, but when I was growing up, I remember the school, especially a Welsh-speaking school. Very, very, very wide. Growing up, like I just didn't see other cultures like ever.
Right. Yeah.
So that was very foreign to me. It was weird to think. And then you're like, and then I was growing up and then basically grew up online. You get thrown into this world. You're like, whoa, this is cool.
It's just like on the internet. There's like more than just. But
it's cool. I think it's sad that I think people dismiss that kind of stuff and they're like, no, I don't need to know anything. It's like,
that's a bummer when people are like, I only need to know my own stuff around me, or they're not open to, because I think for me the world opened up when I like left my hometown for college, and I didn't even go that far, but I feel like that was like the first step to, you know, being able to travel outside of the country or to move across the country. And
I don't feel less English now.
No.
I
can still keep in touch with that. Yeah. Which is fine, because I like being able to distance it sometimes. I like being the token British guy sometimes, but
good for getting jobs. I'll tell you.
Yeah, it is absolutely amazing for getting jobs, and Americans love it.
Oh yeah,
but I become more American. I'm sure it's happened as well. You become more American.
Lock me up. Throw away the key, brother.
Yeah, I think cultures. I just love learning about more stuff, and in Japan, I even though. It kind of seems like you're kind of especially like a white guy talking about Japanese culture, but like learning about it is fascinating. And
for sure,
If you talk about it with affection as opposed to fetishization.
Yeah, and plus you're like,
I'm real. There's some stuff that needs a lot of changing. I'm coming in to change some things around here.
I was going to ask about if there was any culture shock that you experienced.
Oh,
like,
dude,
in Japan, because I mean, I've just heard things through friends or through, you know, even I have friends who were like Japanese but grew up in the States, and then even they have some difficulty acclimating to Japanese culture.
Oh,
They like move there for a year or two just to like, I don't know, try it out.
Yeah, my friends are telling me, my Japanese friends tell me that there's there's definitely like they had a word, and I can't remember what the word was, for Japanese people who live abroad and then come back and they're different. Because they've been exposed to foreign ideas. Because it is Japan is very very homogenous,
right?
Extremely so.
Yeah.
And which has caused this really weird kind of environment online of people who like like people who are like, they're not woke, they haven't been ruined by it. And it's like okay, pure, so fucking stupid.
The purity thing is like, I've heard, because Mayuko said that like when she talks to people in Japan, like she gets, oh, you're so Californian. Like, even though she's like, her, you know, parents like teach at like university in Japan to this day. It's like just by virtue of like not being
because I guess people just think if you haven't been raised in it and also you're not miserable in a horrible work environment, you're not really Japanese. But yeah, I mean, culture shock wise, I mean, if you watch our podcast, like the Trash Taste podcast, I think people just think that we hate Japan.
Oh no,
because there's just so much to complain about. Like,
sure,
when you live there day by day, there's just a lot of little things that Japan does, and people can be like yada yada culture. There's just something they do that is just flat out just bad. Just like the way they refuse to adapt with online and adapt with like doing anything online is crazy. Everything is still paper.
I mean, there's a lot of
to the detriment of like themselves. I don't know why. Like I don't know why they want more paper and more work.
Is it? Right. I haven't been to. Jarvis been to Japan a couple of times. I've not been. I'm always hesitant to make any kind of like you know, cultural statements about a place I haven't been, and anything I say might just be, you know, propaganda, you know, a little bit.
Yeah, you can tell me what you think, and I'll tell you from my experience. That's
I feel like one of the cliches, at least that I hear, is that homogenization. I don't even want to say like racial homogenization. It's cultural as well. It's just, you know, insular.
Yeah,
is a lot more like by design. It's in a way that, like, you know, people north of England. I'm from Newcastle. A lot of people up there, a lot of the family are just like, doesn't hurt that it's kind of white. Yeah. Not going to stop anybody from coming up. I don't mind it. It sounds like in Japan it's a little more. Yeah, you must integrate or.
Yeah, they. It's weird because obviously growing up in like in Wales, you would obviously hear a lot of rhetoric about they just don't integrate enough, right? And then I'm in Japan. I'm like, am I integrating? I'm like, like you kind of hear this kind of rhetoric that I would hear towards people who are coming to where I lived, and then you're like thinking about it. You're like, what does that even mean to like integrate? Like what?
Right.
Like what is the definition of integrating? Is it like literally just hanging out in my friend group, or is it like being helpful to society and the community around you?
Right.
Because like that's such a weird kind of idea. Because I'm like, I pay my taxes. I'm not a burden. I'd like to think I'm not a burden. I contribute to society, and I'm paying an ungodly amount of taxes there, and I wasn't raised there.
Yeah. Well, do you have a particular type? Maybe your career also is kind of considered outside of the collective or whatever.
Definitely. I mean, I think as a foreign individual, there's not an expectation of me to be in that
fit
same
into that.
They absolutely. There's no matter how hard I would try to fit in.
Because I went to I did a thing with YouTube in Japan back in 2019.
Yeah.
Right before the pandemic. So maybe we were there. Maybe it was right as you were moving.
Maybe, but 2019.
Yeah. This was like let's see.
It was Trash Taste.
I want to say it was August.
YouTube.
I want to say it was August 2019.
Okay, that's right before I moved there.
Yeah, so and it was through like YouTube's like research like leg, and there were a bunch of creators from different countries, and then we were all meeting.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Meeting at the like Tokyo Google office. But one of the creators was from Japan, and his name is Wakia, but he has like a channel called Wakiai. You know, like makes fun of Japanese culture. He's like from Berkeley or whatever.
Oh.
But he moved to Japan to go to like Kyoto University.
Yeah.
And he like he talks about it like he speaks really academic Japanese, where like where like native like or people who grew up in Japan are like impressed that he's not from there. So that's how he beats the whole you're a Californian thing. But and then Kyoto University is like the Harvard of
it's a pretty big one.
Yeah, but anyway, but he was talking about how there's these three essentially MCNs that
they run it.
Where basically I'm really just like paraphrasing someone else's experience because I don't know this firsthand, but the way he described it was like culturally, because Japan is more of a collectivist culture, there is this weird outsider thing of like, it's not cool to do your own thing and be independent.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there are these companies that are essentially big MCNs that it's like choose your starter Pokemon that you then become a part of, so that you can be almost legitimizes the YouTube career because now you're a part of a company.
Are you guys, any of you independently part of one?
We are part of an agency in Japan that is under Kadokawa, which you might know.
Okay, I think so. Yeah.
They own pretty much every single like isekai anime.
Yeah.
Like Oshinoko right now. I think they run that. So we're part of.
I woke up as a podcaster in another world.
So we get asked to do a lot of anime promotional stuff on the Japanese end for
right.
But this is like that's a giant conglomeration in Japan, and conglomerations run the show in Japan.
Yeah,
there are a few giant giant.
Right,
like a company might like own like half the stuff in your house might be owned by one conglomeration.
Right,
and, like you might work for them too. So it's like you very much get like into it. Obviously, I just want to preface that. Obviously, because I've lived there for a while, but I'm absolutely not an authority on it. And like some of the very deep aspects of the culture, I wouldn't be able to give you an accurate kind of explanation of. But there are some things that I'm pretty confident in talking about.
Right.
And yeah, like that's, dude. Yeah, there's damn. Yeah, the culture of like the company culture is wild.
Yeah. I mean, I've only had these like small little windows into it. Like my old roommate Nick used to work at this Silicon Valley tech company, and one time before he quit and he like went to go become a game dev, but it was like an ads company. It was like ad retargeting or whatever, and he was like an engineer there. But they had a Japan office, they had a Tokyo office, and he was like, "Do you want to come with me?" And so I was like, "Sure." These are like all the trips I've had to Japan are just randomly tagging along with other people. But a lot of that trip involved like going out socially with his coworkers, and they were talking about how they were it was almost like they were cheating the system because they were working for like a Silicon Valley type company in Japan. So the management, like it didn't have the same traditionalist culture, but then there was also like them roasting Americans. Like one of the things that they roasted about like Silicon Valley culture, I remember we were just like at an izakaya like after work, which is like a pretty common
very
thing.
common.
And
what is that?
Like a kind of their version of a pub. It's like a restaurant pub, but you kind of sit down and a bunch
Japanese
of little
Gary's
yeah, they have geezers. They have the boss is the geezer.
Geezer-chan.
So then they were like, the thing they made fun of about like our corporate culture, which I think you'll find funny, Silicon Valley corporate culture.
Tread lightly.
Yeah. It's like they'd be like, Americans are always like at all hands meetings, like someone will ask a question and then they'll say, "Great question," and it wasn't a great question.
there is a participation trophy element to it. Wow, really insightful,
dude. I've been in a few Japanese meetings. They go on long.
Oh yeah,
they go over everything.
Yeah,
everything in detail. Like because we do a lot of filming stuff in Japan, and it's tough to film in Japan. There's a lot of like
red tape.
Yeah, lots of red tape. Like. Just did a stream with Iron Mouse and Disney, and that was great. It was just like money just solved everything. They were like, "How much you drop it?" And they were like, "All right, this much." They're like, "Come on in. We'll do whatever you want. Skip every line. Be as loud as you want." I was like, "Obviously, but Disney Japan, no filming allowed, no matter what."
Wow.
You have to have like really crazy strict permission, and if you do, you will have like whenever we've done filming like this, there will be a guy or two guys who just follow you the entire time to make sure you're not saying anything bad, even if they don't understand you. But they're just there to follow you. And like this happens a lot, and then also
is that happening anywhere or like just in urban environments, or it's just like
this happens mainly in like cities or big attractions or anything that's kind of a big company because they'll want a PR guy or two PR guys right there with you the entire time.
They own half the stuff in your house and maybe you.
It's crazy. And then you got to send everything for a review, but like just to get the permission, there'll be like multiple meetings of just going over everything. And like I've done live streams where they've wanted the script for the live stream, and I've told them that's not possible. So we send them in like I'll just send them in like a skeleton script of like I'll say I'm gonna intro with this, and then I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this,
right?
And they just want that because they just want to know the flow. Because that's the Japanese culture in terms of work culture is extremely risk averse. Everything is to avoid risk,
right?
So they want to know everything. Everything has to be like quadruple checked. Like everything has to be perfect. To a fault, I think as well. Like I think,
are they good at it? Like
they're good at it, perfectly. But they're good at what they do. But like, I'll turn up to a set to film something, and they'll have at least like double the amount of people they need. but it's because like it's just this idea of like everything needs to go perfect. So we need we just have. You'll notice this when you go to Japan if you pay attention to it. They'll have too much staff for a lot of things. Right, way too much.
I remember. I mean, these are just random experiences. But one time we were like in Shibuya and
like Roadworks or something.
Yeah, or we just went up to Hooters because we were like, it's funny. Like this is an odd thing to exist.
Yeah, there's Hooters in Japan. Yeah,
and salaryman.
They love it.
Just fully
and it was like empty, and we were greeted by like 6 people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it was like, this is all too. It was uncomfortable because we were like, all eyes were on us at all times, and we like literally like walked in and walked out. Yeah, and then like walked in, we're like, nope. Like we kind of got our fill of this. We're not. I don't think we've ever been to Hooters in the States. I don't know why we went to Hooters in Japan. And then like it was one of those buildings like an elevator. So like the entrance was right at the elevator door, and we got back in the elevator. All 6 people got in front of the door again. They waved us goodbye. Like it was like a 60-second like trip.
Went to Hooters for the first time the other week in Japan.
Oh yeah.
The friend of the friends with June, who's a porn actress in Japan. She's great, and she introduced me to Fairuz, who's the voice of Power, and Jolene and JoJo.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool. And she loves Hooters, and she's like, I just love their energy. So
it's
we
cool.
went to Hooters, and she loves it.
Americaned?
Yeah,
they're doing American cosplay kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't get it. There's a fascination with like Americana.
Sure.
I think, in certain aspects of Japan.
Some of the more like aesthetic elements, like a diner, that kind of.
There's some places obviously because at one point Japan was occupied by America, right? So there's a lot of stayovers of, I think, of little bits of American culture, and like Okinawa is like all Americans because the military base is huge there.
Right. Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, massive. Yeah.
I didn't know about the military base. I just didn't assume that it was so.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's a lot of aspects of like, I mean, like even like the way it's designed, like a lot of like roads and a lot of everything is from like the way the Americans did it.
Yeah.
And then when they do British things, it's really weird. British stuff, I feel like they just don't get it right.
I mean, I feel that way about American stuff. So I think that there's a lot of very interesting cultural fusions in like in Tokyo there's just so much. Yeah. But like I went to it was supposed to be like a beer garden. Like it was like a Japanese take on like a German beer garden. And it was like everything was like a little bit off, and then they also had like the wait staff, like who were all women, so all these waitresses in the back of the menu and all of their stats and their blood type and stuff like that.
Stats?
Yeah.
Oh, and like cigarette cards? Is that what I'm thinking of? Like one of the Yakuza collectibles that I'm remembering? Yeah. Oh, telephone cards.
Oh gosh.
Like a 90s, wasn't that like a thing?
I don't know this.
I only know this from I think Like a Dragon, I think. It
might be.
It's a I assume like a relic of the 90s or early 2000s or something. Yeah. Where you're essentially like at some venue or maybe in a pack of cigarettes getting this card and a phone number you can call. I don't know if it's like a sex line or just a flirtation hostage.
I've heard of this, but I can't remember.
But yeah, there was nothing flirty about the thing. It just like was a weird.
Well, if you want that, you can get that. There is like you can get every single level of whatever you want. Like if you want someone to just flirt with you, you can do that. If you want someone to maybe do a little bit more, you can do that. Which is kind of it's technically illegal, but very widely advertised in Japan.
I want to pivot off of Japan because I have some other questions.
Sure, go for it.
Because I think there's more to you than just being a Welsh guy. Japan.
That's true.
One thing we briefly talked about with the avatar is that you in the suit. You're a stylish guy.
Oh,
you
like
to dress up in a suit. Where does that come from?
Don't know. I just kind of I bought these JoJo suits, and I guess they just became like a weird thing that people really liked when I wore them, and I really loved wearing them.
Yeah, I feel very confident.
I love wearing a suit.
Yeah,
so I kind of took any excuse to wear a suit.
It is the exact opposite of the British suppression culture we're talking about. Yeah. It is. I mean, fashion in general, but making a conscious choice to say like put a little bit of a spotlight on yourself. Clearly, have put effort in.
Yeah.
Kind of the.
I love doing it now.
It just feels like almost like taking the power back a little bit.
Yeah, it's great, dude. I like whenever I go out to a fancy dinner. Sometimes I'm like, I ask my friends, I'm like, can we wear it? Like, can we dress up?
Oh, that's fun.
So I'm like, it'd be fun. It's nice. It's like you feel great. And like you said, it's like very empowering. And I think being able to kind of unlearn that Britishness of like, just don't do that.
H&M, now else.
Yeah. Primark, Topman. Topman's shut down, but
it is?
I think it has, yeah. Oh, fuck. I still wear this one shirt that I really like. It's from Topman.
Hey, rip in pieces.
I remember Primark is like just the cheapest thing you could ever. I feel like I got shoes for like $3 at
It's
Primark.
insane how it's like morally wrong how cheap it is. Like it's like, but like, you know,
and it kind of deteriorated. I feel like at least the stuff I've gotten there like deteriorated.
It's paper mache. Yeah,
dude, you could buy a 10-pack of t-shirts for £5.
Yeah,
it was.
What is? I can't remember. Which one's the posh way of saying it?
The
Primark.
Oh. Fuck, there was a posh way.
I think it's Primark and Primark, but I don't know which one's which.
Primark. Some people would say like Primark.
Because I always say Primark, and I don't.
I say Primark as well.
I don't think that's the posh one.
I would say scones as well.
Which one is scones posh?
Scones.
I used to say scones, and then when I started doing lots of voice acting, they're making me speak RP English.
Yeah.
They were like, no, Connor, you have to say grass. You can't say grass. So a lot of the stuff I really unlearned, which is weird because I didn't know you could do that to your accent.
Yeah, sure.
Parents and family were like, what the fuck? But yeah, I get mocked relentlessly when I go.
I was going to say, I feel like you've probably experienced this where you like kind of.
You unlearn your accent pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with like, you know, the job I had in tech was all Riz, right? It was partnerships, it was speaking, communicating. One of the. It's not that I like. So I go back home pretty frequently. I go visit my mom, checking everything, and when I go back, switch. It's exactly. Code switch. But part of that is that in here, people like if I do a little bit of RP, which is how my mum talks. But she's from Newcastle. My aunt doesn't. Aunt thick Geordie. My mum always received. It's really weird. But my mum was always very like proactive about me not rolling my R's and stuff. But I went to college, or I went to like, I don't know, like early high school, like just not being at home. I went, so it was a bit more like that. Like I talk like that sometimes, especially around my mates. And then it starts to blend. I go to uni, it blends
becomes
even
an amalgamation
more.
of things. Yeah.
And then now coming here, it's not that I ever want to lose it. It's nicer to speak in a more natural, or what feels more natural, but it never stops stinging when you say something and someone goes, what?
Yeah, no, exactly. It was an enunciation thing.
Yeah,
YouTube beat that out of me. I had to really enunciate words because I realized you're like, some people just won't watch you if they just can't understand you all the time, right? It's an ease of, because you want to be understood all the time, right? Because that's how you keep people engaged.
If you listen to old episodes, like really old episodes of Sad Boys, I'm a different person.
I sound totally different on the very first video I uploaded.
That's so funny. We have we did this recently. Like there was a video of mine from 2017 or something. Where just as a bit, it was like when we just became friends. We didn't even have the podcast yet.
That's right.
There was a bit where it was about imposter syndrome, and I like swapped Jordan out for myself because we even used to have a similar haircut back then. And I
used to be from Florida.
And it's like I listened to it.
Gators.
And like, the way that Jordan sounded was like not even recognizable to me.
Yeah, it's weird how quickly
it to him all day.
Yeah, because it changes so fast.
Let's get started. I literally said.
Well, there was that weird study where it was, or not weird study. They noted that like when these researchers would go to Antarctica, and there'd be like 12 of them, there would be one dominant like accent that they would all pick up from. I think it was like German or something. This guy, they would pick up this dude's accent. And it's weird because I do this in Japan as well. Sometimes when I speak to people who don't speak English very well, I will default to this kind of a weird kind of way of enunciating and being simple with my language just to help them understand.
Right.
And I wonder if it's something like that where when you're around a lot of people who are from different places and everyone's speaking, especially when it's so many different, because they're researchers from all over the world. Right? You all kind of like, what's the word? Converge on this very weird kind of accent. It's really strange.
Do you speak Welsh more if you're in Wales?
Welsh? Yeah. I never speak Welsh. The only time I want to speak Welsh if I go back, hang out with some people from school who are super Welsh. They found because there was in Welsh school,
medically Welsh.
In Welsh school, there was this weird thing of like families that spoke Welsh at home were like kind of favored to be more Welsh, more ingrained with Welsh culture, and they were more favored in a lot of things because a lot of the Welsh teachers were also very ingrained with Welsh culture,
right,
and would often speak Welsh all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas it was very apparent which kids didn't speak Welsh at home, and we didn't speak Welsh at home because my dad didn't speak Welsh. My mum does, but she at that time she didn't spoke it a lot. And my dad just didn't speak any Welsh. So it was very weird. So yeah, I didn't speak Welsh outside of school.
I was surprised to some people that like listening Welsh is a full spoken signposted
there's
language.
Some people who use Welsh as like their dominant language, and they all their social circles, they all speak Welsh, and they prefer to be around people who speak Welsh because it's just like a nice it is a very nice, the one thing I do kind of miss after going like to YouTube and traveling and like getting in this global setting is like, dude, it was kind of awesome. Like how like they all knew each other.
Right.
They were all very supportive. Everyone would help each other. And not in like this weird kind of close town where you have to be. It was like, I felt like there was a genuine kind of joy that they got from being in that community.
Yeah.
And they really like, they all took care of each other. And I really, really thought that was something special now looking back and believing that. Sure. But at the time I thought, get me out of here. Get me out of here.
Right? Yeah. Well, you have to know what you don't have to appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't trade it.
No,
I like being here, but
because if you do something embarrassing, everyone in town would know.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard that Connor shot himself. So that was terrible Welsh accent.
The thing about like assimilating or like kind of picking up vocal like qualities from other people. One thing I did that I still have a little bit of me in is that I took a couple of Japanese classes in college. I like took Spanish for like all of high school, and then I studied abroad in Spain, and so then come college I wanted to get some humanities credit, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to take
such
Spanish
a bizarre
again.
idea to me as a British person. You have to get credits, and you have to
a lot of
learn
major
stuff.
You have to learn there's general education, and there's
I'm
also-
paying.
Yeah, exactly. Like let me choose.
I shouldn't even have to do the test. Give me the thing.
I know the argument is that it's supposed to be more holistic,
Right,
but that's such bullshit.
I
I don't
The
subscribe to it.
sentiment, I like it being so elective and like specializing, but at the same time, then it's just like, but wait, this system's now incentivizing me to do something I have no interest in.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, and on the flip side, I think now, just to that point, I do want more holistic education, but like I think that it shouldn't.
It's done poorly, I think.
I think it's the execution is not great, because in tech, I want a lot more people in tech to have take more communication classes and have more.
Absolutely, I think that communication was never emphasized ever.
Right, and I think and now there's this trope of a hyper technical person who's bad at communicating. And I'm like, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
and the more skilled you are at tech, the worse your communication should be.
And the higher rank you are in like a lot of these places. So, or ethics, right? Like I had to take a computing ethics class, and like we're talking about like self-driving cars killing people as it was a hypothetical when I was in college, and it is no longer a hypothetical.
Yeah.
But
the hypothesis got tested.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so I took a couple of Japanese classes, and then when I was like whenever I'm like going on a trip to Japan, I'll like use that as an opportunity to like study a little bit.
Yeah,
like
why
brush
not?
up. And I remember when like me and Mayuko were watching a bunch of Terrace House, this like Japanese
I know
reality
Terrace
show.
House, yeah, very famous.
I would pick up a lot of like the in between, like literally what you just did. It would be like a lot of
I do it all. Some people get annoyed with me when I do it here, but I'm always like,
Well, so
It means something else, right? In that context,
it's like this weird thing that everyone does, and we've agreed on it in Japan, is that you're listening. I always do it in Japan. I'm like, I saw this there.
Yeah.
What's it on? He's like, what? He's like, my family is, my house is burning down. I'm like, I saw this.
Sick, tight.
Or the thinking words. Ano.
Yeah, you have to do ano. You have to hit him with an eto.
Is that
It's that and it's a natural way of like kind of being like, because dude, the reason why you will want to do that, especially if you are someone who's learning Japanese or you're not like fluent, is that people often get Japanese people often get quite uncomfortable with awkward silence with foreign people, because they just don't know what to do. They're like, this is a situation I'm not comfortable
Right, and
with.
you're literally saying loading, please wait. Like
and it's my way of like communicating, like I am thinking.
Yeah.
Don't say something. I'm gonna say it. Like give me a second. Because I can understand, you don't interact with foreign people much. This dude starts, for some reason, this dude's talking to you. Maybe like you're like waiters or waitresses.
Right.
And it doesn't happen anymore, but when it used to, you're thinking a little bit. They might get a little bit uncomfortable, which I understand, right? Because it's like you are not being paid enough to have to deal with a guy who doesn't speak your language. Like, this is not what you're paid to do.
There's so much, like, I'm very bad at Japanese, but because I was watching so much Terrace House and stuff, there's so much rhythm to the language.
Rhythm is important.
That I would be good at, like, the rhythm. Like, if I was like if I was like ordering at a restaurant or something like that, you know, and you're like this I want, you know, mizuto.
You gotta hit the beats.
You're like listening with the beats. You it's like there's so much intonation that's like saying. It's very much the same in English, you know, but it's just like a different way. And that was like, that's another thing you pick up when you're just like when
you're talking and you're engaging with it. I think it's very important to do that. And that's language is tough. Language is very tough.
How often are you coming back?
LA or UK?
In general. How often do you leave, I suppose?
Pandemic was kind of rough because it was two years nearly where I just didn't leave at all. And then it kind of went crazy last year. It kind of went crazy a little bit the first half of this year. I've been traveling at least like once a month lately.
That's crazy.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Because jet lag, I imagine, doesn't go away.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But I think luckily I'm slowing it down now, but it was pretty much after pandemic, kind of like I was dying to travel.
Yeah.
And just go. And I went overboard and I really regretted. No, I didn't regret it, but I was really overwhelmed, I think, with how much traveling I was doing. I think like even in like this year, I think May and March, I think I would fly, come back for 1 week, smash out a bunch of work, and then fly again. Or even like I came back, had 1 day at one point and flew again. And I was like, this is fucked.
Too much. Last time I went back to see my mum, went for her birthday to surprise her. And I had to get back here again. I just moved. It was like 3 days there.
When you're like,
and it's like, I want to be more present, but I'm hungover from this flight travel. If I don't get back now, I'm going to be hungover again, adapting, and they just don't have time.
I don't spend a lot of money on myself, but the one thing that I've kind of been a blank check on is just business flights.
Yeah.
Because it's been invaluable with rocking up to a place and being able to just go. Like
your comfort is so important when you're literally, it's such a, like the way you're describing it, it is a huge part of your job is
100%
that. Like, so it's
not being asleep.
It's just not being fucked. And like, I don't want to rock up and I've made plans with someone and it's like, I'm just not there. Cause I know sometimes how it is when people come to Japan and, you know, that they really want to be there. And I'm not sure how much to plan. Cause I'm like, are you going to be tired? Are you
right.
Know? So it's like being able to be like, yeah, I'll be ready. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I like, cause the flight as well, it's great from America to Japan. I always get the late night flights. It's like fast traveling. I get on the plane, I fall asleep, I wake up. It's like the flight leaves at 10 in Japan, lands at 3. Yeah. Which is, I mean, it's not like perfect, but I sleep and I'm a little kind of groggy, but more than enough to go till like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Sleep and I'm good. I'm great.
That flight was when I went with YouTube, they got us business flights. And it was like the nicest experience I've ever had on a flight that long. This is what, 13 hours or something?
Yeah. And I've been racking up crazy miles.
Yeah, I bet.
Dude, my greatest regret in my life is I did not have.
I didn't for the longest time.
I would say around over 100 hours of plane time with no points.
Yeah, I'm an idiot too, but you make those mistakes. You learn. You learn it now. You're still young. It's not like you learned it when you were like 40, right? Which a lot of people, business execs, start doing it then.
Thank you, dude.
So we're doing figuring it out. We're doing tools this year. What was the class in school about getting the right credit card? Or fucking literally flying with picking the miles. But yeah, I mean,
you really think I'm young?
You are. Yeah, of course you are. What are you getting?
You think I'm cool?
Yeah.
That would actually mean a lot for you to say.
No. Please say it again.
Would you be willing to say it on your show?
Welcome back to
I'll
Trash
go live.
Days.
First thing I say is Jordan's
all right. Yeah.
Shit.
Okay. So we don't really have time to get into this.
We can get into it. If you want to make this a long one, I'll go long.
I am so impressed by the amount of high concept streams that you
fucked.
do.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like you're always
young.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm always like so impressed, like the cycling one that you did.
Yeah, it's fun.
You know, and or you're just like, oh, even the arcade. I was like,
the one I did the other day.
One.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
I'm just like, you're always up to something.
I mean, you came here after the McDonald's stream, no?
Yeah, I just did a McDonald's stream real quick. Well, to be fair, that's the kind of timing that I normally wouldn't do. But Ladu was like, we can squeeze it in, and I was like, Because the thing I hate doing is that if I'm doing a stream with someone else, I'll never try and like squeeze a time slot in that can't work, just because it can kind of go wrong and it never starts the time you want it to.
For sure.
There's always a setup, and I hate doing that to people. And I also didn't want to be late. I hate being late to things. I want to always, arrive on time.
That's very considerate.
Yeah. So
Lud rizzed you.
Connor, Lud is
go
the opposite of me in that sense. Because I get on really well with Ludwig, and I think we have a very similar philosophy with streaming and YouTube. But he is the complete opposite with me in that sense. Like I think the reason I can do so much stuff is that I am a slave to my calendar. If it's not in the calendar, I get anxiety about it.
Right. I get that.
I don't do it. Like this is why and Ludwig is like, dude, he's like, let's just do this thing tomorrow. I'm like, no. In my head, I'm like, I didn't plan room for this.
Right.
I don't play chess.
Yeah. But like, he convinces me to do it, and it's so bad, and I really need to get more flexible with it. And it's also kind of like social life wise, it's kind of tough sometimes because I will pack my calendar because I do not like a free slot.
Right.
Even with like, if there's a free slot where I don't want to work, I do want to hang out with someone. I will figure out who I'm going to hang out with.
Yeah.
Which is tough for me when I come to LA because it's kind of tough to arrange people to hang out with here. Like people like to do it like 1 or 2 days notice.
Right.
It's like being like, hey, do you want to hang out in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
It's like people just don't do that here.
Yeah.
And that's tough for me because in Japan, I'm sure my friends hate it. I'm like, ooh, a week away from now? I've kind of filled it up. Can we do 2 weeks from now?
Yeah.
I'm really bad at that, and that's something that I need to get better at. But the reason why I think I've been able to do all these streams and stuff is because one, I've figured out a thing that I really like doing, which is I have a problem. I will make a stream around solving that problem in my personal life.
Right.
So for me, I really want to do more exercise. How do I make streams about exercise more fun?
Right.
And better quality?
Yeah.
So the cyclothon was kind of a great kind of idea that worked out. The only, because exercise is kind of boring to watch. How do you make exercise fun was a big thing that we kind of figured out, and well, not figured out, but we spent a lot of time trying to figure out.
Right.
So we made the little.
Who are you brainstorming these ideas with?
So I have two full-time programmers that I work with that I've hired that are great. That I actually just met coincidentally because when you're doing Twitch, you get a lot of people who want to join in.
Yeah.
People see what you're doing and they're like, how do I help?
Right.
And I think when you're doing really well and you're successful, one of the massive things that you can do and like benefit, and I think is so fucking cool, is being able to just hire people. They'd be like, hey, you made this one little cool thing for me. Can I just start throwing money at you to quit your job that you don't like and just come and work this job? Which is, I don't think I ask very much. I'm like, occasionally I'm like, hey, you got 2 days to make this crazy thing. But then the rest of the time I'm like, just chill out.
Right.
Like,
no, I mean, we totally get that. I feel like some of the best relationships we have
I love being
professionally
able to like help
come
people
from
and,
like the right, place. Like, I mean, I feel like we've been so blessed to have Jacob working on the show, and like is one of those situations where
getting a good crew is great.
Yeah, he was working on a different show and it was like, or you want to work on this also, and like, I don't know, so far so good.
Yeah, it's the weirdest and best job I've ever had.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's good.
I like that. I like when it's the weirdest
Oh, that
and
makes
best.
me tear up. That's really sweet.
And so
I disagree.
Take it back.
Yeah.
it's so like, because I'd seen what Ludwig was doing, and I kind of, when I started streaming, I looked at it the same way I guess Ludwig was doing it, but I didn't know of Ludwig this time because I came from the YouTuber background.
Right.
So I realized there was this huge opportunity that streamers were missing, that if you utilize YouTube really well in the streaming space, you can really like get both of them to grow really well. Yeah. Because I noticed how many of these streamers, their clips were popping off from other people. And I was like, but none of them had like channels for the content they were making where you could find it. And I was like, this is so dumb. Like, this is such a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah.
So I went into
all this free advertising.
Yeah, I went into it with the mindset of like, I am going to make my streams around the YouTube videos. Like, I need a narrative. Like, I need a start, middle, and finish for every stream.
Doug's crazy for that as well.
And Doug is crazy. And I didn't know Doug until like a few years ago. And Doug's great at this.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of streamers have started realizing that now.
Yeah, it's become like a bit of the
big trend
meta,
now. Everyone's trying to get a highlight channel going, and they realize, shit, working with editors is hard.
Yeah.
Very fortunate that I've been working with an editor for like, fuck knows, 6 years now.
Yeah, but even when I stream, it's like I haven't streamed in a while, but like I could benefit off of just the fact that I already have so much like Face ID on YouTube, where like I could, if we just put a nice thumbnail with my face on, and it's like I don't even think it's that interesting, but you make it discoverable for the algorithm.
Absolutely.
And then you never know what'll like pop off.
Yeah. And so you're kind of leveraging that and then kind of putting that all together. Anyway, I saw Ludwig had a programmer that was doing really cool stuff for him. And then I kind of went to these programs like, is this possible? And they were like, yeah, of course it is. But it was just about like, no one ever thought to do that. No one ever thought to get programmers to make weird tech for streams.
And management is just a completely different dialect. It is just literally a different skill. Same way that we have friends that we know people that are some of our favorite people, wonderfully creative, and they've very explicitly said, I will never ever, they'll guest on the show, but they would never have their own podcast.
Yeah.
Because there's just
tough.
The cadence of it is just against what they think of intuitively, and it is a learned skill.
Yeah,
we were bad before we were good.
Yeah,
everybody is.
There's a few parts of my job that I feel like I benefited so much from, like working in a traditional industry.
You'll always have that with whatever you've done, right? You'll always be able to call back on things that you've done that really helped you.
I feel like I would be very, very, very self-conscious if I hadn't. I would worry that I was doing...
Absolutely.
There are things I just don't get imposter syndrome about because I remember being bad at it.
Yeah,
so now I know
you're good. Like there's some things that I just know I do well, and I think it's healthy to be able to pat yourself on the back and be like, I'm good at this one thing. Like this is the one thing that I'm good at. But also being open to learn on other things is important.
Yeah. I used to have tons of, and this is something that I think I can learn from you and Ludwig, is that a lot of I used to do like programming type content even. And there are some concepts that I always held in the back of my head, I don't want to build this myself. And I'm like, I could just hire someone to build it. And I literally used to be, I used to manage software engineers. Like the last job I had was an engineering manager. So it's like, I'm pretty good at the inputs and outputs and like doing the technical things. So it's like, it's about time I like sort of crossed that bridge.
You know, and say you lose a bit of money, you hired someone who it wasn't worth the time and you wasted time. So what? Like you learned and you can go on with it. And so it's about having that kind of mentality. And then, like they've been great. They made like for the cyclothon, which if you didn't know, I just cycled for 8 days or 9 days across Japan, raising money for charity. And the main idea I had, I was like, this is boring. There's a lot of information that is not given to the viewer intuitively. So let's figure out how every question a viewer might have of watching someone cycle on a bike for all day. What would be the first questions you would pop up in your head? Where is he? How far into it is he? How much money has he raised? I don't know, like how fast is he going, or like, you know, give me some visual indications. So we just built like an app that would connect to my phone that would show you where I am in real time, which obviously is in America would have something would be kind of scary, but in Japan and like a remote island was great. It would connect and it would show you where I've been, the progress of the day, the distance remaining, the speed I was going, how much money we'd raised. And then the second time we added in a live heart rate monitor and calories burned. Just to give more fun stuff to keep track of.
Right.
Just about giving people like context to make boring things more fun.
Yeah, definitely.
A garnish, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, it's
but
like
you're so right. It's a HUD. You know,
it's a HUD. Like it's like when you watch stuff, you need to think. Like I think a lot of people just don't think about how it is from a viewer's experience. Like you're like, and it's like when I used to edit videos, it was like, I obviously have so much knowledge and context of what I'm presenting. How do I need to cover every single pitfall that someone might not know? So like the first like 20 episodes of our podcast on Trash Taste, every time we spoke about something, we'd be like, stop, let's explain what it is.
Yeah.
But now we don't do that because we're like 150 episodes in, and it gets so tedious to do that. But you know, it's just kind of making sure that
everybody's brought up to speed.
Everyone knows where we're at and what's happening, and you know, and it's what you got to do. And so you kind of think about that logic that you applied to storytelling or making a video and applying that to other things.
Yeah.
Having a little bit of faith in the audience as well. That
you can have faith in the audience.
Providing the resources so that they can entertain themselves in a way that you might not even anticipate, as opposed to just being like, you need to meet me only on my terms.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the other stuff. I'm telling you it's interesting.
Yeah. I guess it's finding that balance, right, between trusting the audience, but also explaining the things they need to know. And so, doing that. Yeah. And I guess I also am a huge camera and everything, because like I was saying earlier, like on the Trash Taste podcast and all that stuff I set up, all that cameras and stuff, and just learning all of that. And so I got really into the production side of it, because in Japan there just isn't any. It's like a lot of the live streams, we did 4K live streaming, and I kind of figured out this 4K rig you could do that sounds and looks great for live streaming, and just one guy can have it. Like it's just, you don't need a crew. It's just one guy who looks like the Terminator, who's carrying all the shit. but it looks great. It's like my RV trip. I'll show you it later. It's really cool.
Oh, I'm
super pumped about it because it looks crazy good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so I want to do more stuff like that and just push live streaming and the quality that we're getting forward. I don't know. I just want to keep doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just really like doing weird things and solving the problems that I have. Like,
yeah.
The reason I'm doing this charity auction in like 2 days, which I'm fucking
I know. The only reason we haven't brought it up is because like by the time this comes out, it'll probably
have done.
But
the first auction came around that I did in my room was I just had all this shit that people wanted, and I was like, well, how do I in a way that's kind of like democratically give it away?
Yeah.
I was like, money.
Right.
If you give money to charity, you get the auction. So I did this really fun just Discord auction, and people loved it. And I loved it so much. I love being in that host position, interacting with the people there. And so that's how this all came around. And I don't know, I just love thinking of these unique ways to solve problems I have.
Super excited for that.
Thank you. Yeah, it'd be fun. Your item as well, your weird ass
Yeah,
item.
my weird item. Yeah, it's like I'm gonna. I want to do some posts. We've been we just announced like a merch launch that's this week. So there's like congrats. You know how you're always like, I don't want to self promo too much,
dude. It's tough. I'm announcing too much sometimes. I'm doing like too many things, and I'm like, this sucks. My entire Twitter's announcements.
Yeah, and I don't like because I want to be providing content. I want there to be tweets that are just dumb fun, you know.
Yeah.
But I want to post some of the context for those things because some people will remember.
There's some stuff that's so tough to fully explain on Twitter.
Oh yeah. So before we wrap, I wanted to ask. This is the $1 million question. You know, you're so productive. You're doing so much.
Yeah.
How does he do it? Do you ever get sad?
I always feel bad when I answer this question because, like, I feel like I should.
No, that's sick.
It genuinely, like, no, not really. And if I do, it's like a day tops, right? Like, and I don't think I've ever really had any. Maybe it's